You know that feeling when you're looking at a system architecture diagram or maybe a technical syllabus and you just feel totally drowning in alphabet soup? I mean, you see these strings of letters, SAS, IP, HTTP, LMS, and sure, maybe you know what they mean on their own. But when you put them all together, it can completely muddy the big picture. But here's the thing. These acronyms aren't just isolated tech jargon. They actually make up the essential shared vocabulary of our modern digital lives.
So, welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're doing a lot more than just rattling off definitions. We're actually going to map out the grammar of ICT. Think of it less like a boring dictionary and more like looking under the hood to see how all these pieces interlock to build the digital ecosystem we operate in every single day. By the time we wrap up, you're going to see exactly how basic infrastructure scales all the way up to the cloud and out into global classrooms. It's all about giving you the clarity to navigate these systems with total confidence. Here's our quick roadmap for today. We'll start with the grammar of ICT, move into hardware and networks, explore the cloud platform revolution, check out protocols of communication, look at digital learning innovations, and finally, wrap it up with a unified digital ecosystem. Okay, Section 1, the grammar of ICT, the foundation of our digital ecosystem. Let's kick things off at the absolute bedrock of our digital landscape. Before we get into the weeds with network protocols and cloud architecture, we really need to set up the ultimate umbrella term for all of this, which is ICT, or Information and Communication Technology. This literally covers the entire spectrum of digital tools, networks, and systems that let us process data and communicate. It's this massive, interconnected web that powers education, research, industry, you name it. Every single layer we're about to decode today, every piece of hardware, every cloud service, lives completely under this giant ICT umbrella. It's the foundational language making it all happen. Moving right along to Section 2, Hardware and Networks, the physical and local structures. So to really grasp this ecosystem, we have to look at how our devices actually talk to each other, building from the ground up. It starts locally with a LAN, a local area network. That's the localized setup you'd find in a single office or a building. But when operations need to scale across a city or the globe, that local setup relies on a WAN, a wide area network, to bridge that gap. And hey, if you need a secure, encrypted tunnel across those wider networks, that's when you bring in a VPN, a virtual private network. Now, the thing actually dictating the underlying routing for all this traffic, basically making sure your data packets get from point A to point B, is the IP, the Internet Protocol. Put all these together, and they completely define the scope and security of our connectivity. But connectivity is really only half the equation, right? We also have to look at how local computing power interacts with external network routing. On the physical hardware side, you've got your CPU, the central processing unit, which is basically the brain handling the core computations. Then there's RAM, random access memory, giving your system the high-speed data access it needs for active, real-time processing. But all that localized power is kind of useless if it can't fetch external resources. And that is exactly where navigational tools like the URL, the Uniform Resource Locator, step in. It's a really cool dynamic. We use our physical, localized hardware to actively hunt down and navigate to digital resources that are scattered all over the global network. All right, Section 3, the Cloud Platform Revolution, the AAS family. Now we are ascending from those local machines straight into the vast workspace of the cloud. The whole as-a-service family is honestly a fundamental shift in how we deploy tech over the internet. And the true magic here is how stackable these services are. Down at the foundational layer, we have IaaS, Infrastructure as a Service. That gives you the raw, virtualized computing resources, like servers and storage. Stacked right on top of that is PaaS, Platform as a Service. This delivers a fully managed environment where developers can build and run applications without stressing over the underlying infrastructure. And then sitting right at the very top, supported by all of that, is SaaS, Software as a Service. These are the fully finished apps you access directly through your web browser. Breaking down the stack really helps you see how these massive digital architectures are layered together. Next up, Section 4, Protocols of Communication, how information flows. Okay, so to actually move all of that data across the hardware and the cloud, we have to rely on some pretty strict communication protocols. Without these agreed-upon rules, the digital world would literally be chaos. Whether it's VoIP seamlessly transmitting your voice in real time over the internet, SMTP efficiently routing your outgoing emails, or HTTP providing the underlying structure for fetching the web pages you browse, these protocols are basically the invisible traffic cops. They make absolutely sure that no matter what kind of data is moving, it's formatted, sequenced, and delivered securely across the whole ecosystem. Moving to Section 5, Digital Learning Innovations. ICT in Education and Research.
Now, things get really interesting when we apply all this underlying tech directly to human learning. You end up with incredibly powerful tools, with the LMS, Learning Management System, being a prime example. It is the core digital framework for delivering educational courses. But looking at the big picture, an LMS is really just the direct culmination of the hardware, network, and cloud layers we've been talking about, all purpose-built for teaching. It's that central hub where syllabi are shared, assignments are turned in, and complex human interactions actually happen, entirely facilitated by that massive ICT infrastructure running quietly beneath it.
And this doesn't just stop at individual schools. It represents the ultimate global scaling of this entire digital grammar. Terms like MOOC, which stands for Massive Open Online Course, and platforms like SWIAM represent a massive shift in accessibility. These initiatives take local hardware and cloud protocols and turn them into democratized education on a staggering scale. They leverage the full power of ICT to let millions of people worldwide access high-quality instruction at the exact same time. This is exactly why understanding this technology is so crucial, because it directly impacts the scale and reach of human knowledge itself.
And finally, Section 6, a unified digital ecosystem, bringing it all together.
Our source material actually sums up why this synthesis is so important perfectly, stating, "Together, these abbreviations and terminologies form the grammar of ICT, illustrating how ICT bridges hardware, software, networks, and pedagogy into a unified ecosystem." And that is the ultimate takeaway here. When you know the difference between a WAN and a LAN, or how cloud infrastructure supports an LMS, you aren't just memorizing random tech trivia. You're mastering the foundational architecture of the modern world. You're finally seeing the invisible bridges connecting the physical computer on your desk to massive cloud setups and straight into global educational platforms. It is all one beautifully unified ecosystem. We've covered a lot of ground today, traveling all the way from the localized execution power of a CPU up to the massive, globally accessible scale of a MOOC. You've decoded the terminology and shifted from seeing isolated jargon to understanding a truly connected, operational vocabulary. Those technical concepts that might have seemed a bit muddy before, they're now your tools for clarity and strategic insight. So I'm going to leave you with this final thought. Now that you've mastered the grammar of ICT and can confidently navigate this unified digital ecosystem, what will you communicate next?